Thanks for joining us for the Member xCite presentation. The Member xCite presentation is informative, interesting to the audience, and showcases the strengths of the presenter as an entrepreneur and their area of expertise. It's not a sales pitch, it's a 10-minute educational and insightful exploration into what they do. And of course, it's exciting.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our xCite presenter today, Scott King from the Breakthrough Hub, to present to us on xTraordinary. Company culture is a mission, not a mandate. The impact of employee engagement or disengagement is a bottom line issue. Statistics show that unhappy workers cost the North American business economy well over $350 billion annually in lost productivity. Culture change can be achieved through top-down mandates. Learn a better way. Scott brings over 3 decades of real entrepreneurial experience to the BX community. With a background in business ownership, franchising, financial services, and of course, business coaching, every conversation you have with him will bring value. His latest endeavor, the Breakthrough Hub, was conceived the day after our world was instantly shut down. What started with a handful of growth-minded individuals meeting virtually has exploded into an international movement. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Scott King.
Because we are going through massive change, but also I know that success in business is about adding value, figuring out a way to add value to people, all right? And it isn't, this is something Darren was talking about today. He says it isn't the best product that wins. It really isn't. Toyota Corolla is the best-selling car in the world. And that's not my first choice, honestly. I wouldn't, that's not right. Samsung, I'm told, is a stronger, better phone than an iPhone, but only half the profits of an iPhone. So it has little to do with the product, and it has everything to do with the perception of value, the emotional connection that we can communicate to people. So as business owners, my passion plea would be, number one, how can I add value? What problem can I solve? And how can I communicate that on an emotional level where people say, that aligns, that is what I know I need, okay? And I'm going to be all over the place. I basically took notes. I have pages and pages of notes, and I'm just going to jump around and give you some sound bites. Thank you, Debbie. I appreciate that. Yeah, thank you very much. And he talked about today our reason for did I actually, let me back up here. The value that I discovered. Let me close the loop on that story. And Avery, you can unmute and say, Scott, finish that story. You're off the rails, okay? Keep the train on the tracks. Here's the thing. When I lost 60% of my business, and one guy, Ben, he doesn't mind me sharing his story. I said, Ben, I'm going to suggest you pause my services. He is in the renovation business. He's going to be shut down. I said, but I'm worried about you. You're high energy. You're a focused guy. You're always going, and you're about to be locked down in your basement in your home office. He said, I'm nervous too. And I said to him, you know what? Why don't we get together via Zoom, 5 business owners. Let's read a book. Let's discuss our takeaways, and let's apply the principles. And we took a book like Atomic Habits by James Clear, and we studied the science and art of habits, discussed it, because we learn 10% of what we read, 20% of what we hear. Now we want to turbocharge. If we start discussing the learning, which is what I want to do when I'm done speaking here. When we discuss the learning, we can now get into the 70%. When we apply it, 80%. And here's what's really cool. We do this in the hub. You can learn up to 95% of what you teach. All right. So we challenge our people to come in for 2 minutes and do a 2-minute teaching on what they learned from chapters 1, 2, and 3 this week. And so again, when we're done, teach us what you learned today, if anything, okay? Ben said, sign me up. I said, hold on, I don't have anybody else. Okay, he says, this sounds like a great idea. I said, well, I got to make some phone calls. And this is where relationships reduce risk, because people would take my call and I said to them, hey, I got this idea. Do you want to join me? And they're like, yes, let's do it. The timing's perfect. I'm sitting at home. And we launched our first hub, our second, our third, our fourth. We've launched 80 of these hubs. At one point, we had 5 provinces, American members, a European member, all in Zoom meetings, passionate about not just reading a book, learning it and applying it. All right. Then we evolved into, okay, if we could do that for individuals, imagine if we could do this for teams and we can impact the culture of an entire company. All right, I want to be very careful that I'm not selling anything today. I'm not promoting the Breakthrough Hub, but I'm promoting personal and professional development. Okay, so that's the story of the Breakthrough Hub and why I'm passionate about personal and professional development. Now, Darren talked today about the reason for our discontent. I thought, okay, I'm listening. What's the reason for my discontent? And this is his opinion, and it made a lot of sense, where he said, as business owners, we have this goal. We want to get to this level. And imagine stairs, and we're taking steps, and we're taking steps, and we're taking steps, and we're always looking up, and we're like, wow, I still got a long way to go to the top of the staircase. And the teaching point was, folks, don't forget to stop and look behind at all of the steps that you have climbed. All right, be less concerned. Just keep your head down, keep taking intelligent steps forward. However, don't worry about the top of the stairs. Look back every once in a while and say, wow, what a difference a year can make. Now, folks, we have to be intentionally taking those steps, or we digress. If we're not growing, we're done. Okay, so that was something that rang true for me today. The other thing is, the question is, what are you capable of? What am I capable of? And then the difference between what I'm capable of and what I'm achieving is my ability to execute. All right, here's what I'm capable of. Here's where I'm at. And if I want to get to the next level, I don't necessarily need more information, but I do need to execute with excellence, with urgency, and continue to take those steps forward. So that was the next takeaway, that execution is critical. So figure out what that is for you. I have a system that I follow, but most importantly, I have a group of growth-minded individuals I meet with to not hold me accountable, because I have to take ownership for my success. However, a great team will call me out on my stuff or my excuses, or if I know that I need to deliver, then I simply do, right? So teams, we believe at the Breakthrough Hub that community changes everything, all right? And again, I'm passionate about building relationships for the purpose of adding value to everybody, all right? Now, the next principle would be the wonderful F word, which is failure. Okay, failure. And the difference between, and John Maxwell wrote a beautiful book called Failing Forward. And the thesis of that book is the difference between people who achieve the level of success that they're going for and those that don't is their perception of and response to failure. Their perception of and response to failure, how you perceive failure and how you respond to failure. And with that, he talked about, he went back, he shared Richard Branson's story. The headmaster, when Richard Branson was little, said to him, not in a complimentary way, he says, you're either going to end up in prison or you might be a millionaire. And so Richard decided that he would go the millionaire and beyond prophecy in his life. But out of what could have been failure birthed a deep desire to go the other way. And Darren was talking about sometimes our drive comes out of our trauma. And Avery, maybe you can not I'd see you nodding. Trauma can have a massive impact, both positively and negatively, depending on how we deal with it. Okay, so I want to button that up with the challenge to me was, okay, failure. I want to perceive it as an opportunity to grow. The other thing that he said today was that failure should be a mechanism for you to seek help. All right. I'll back up. A lifetime ago, I lost everything in business. Personally bankrupt. I opened 12 businesses in 6 years. By the seventh, I lost them all. I was flying high, and then it all came crashing down. And from there, someone handed me a book. I needed help. I needed to not stay there. And I began seeking out people and material that would help me rebirth my life at that point. All right. So wrapping that up, let's put ourselves out there so that we have the opportunity to stretch, to stumble, to fall, and then let's fail forward when we do. Okay. And I think the last thing that he was talking about today is making sure that we're very clear that we're not in he talked about the difference between a client and a customer. And a customer is very transaction. All right. So I'm looking for a customer. I want to do a transaction. I want to put money in the bank. Where a client, and I love this explanation, and I think it's Webster's or Oxford that describes a client is someone who is under your care and protection. A customer is a transaction. A client is under my care and protection. Roger, when people are looking for marketing expertise and they are a client, they are under your care and protection, because how many people have regretted their marketing spend, right? How many people have just thought, oh my gosh, it was like a renovation. I kept on spending more. And when it's all done, I just wasn't pleased with the result. But I can tell from you that you treat your customers as clients. You want them to be successful. You deeply care about their success. So how do I wrap all of this up? My passionate plea is that wherever you are, keep growing, all right? And be intentional with that growth. And if you hit the wall, it's an opportunity to fail forward, to grow yourself out of that problem, prepare yourself for the next opportunity. And I'm going to stop without using the emergency brake, and let's just transition here. Does anybody want to unmute and just jump on? I've started the engine here. Jump on and say, I need a brave one. I need someone to step up and just chat about this a little bit. Debbie, thank you. Lead us off.
Yeah, when it comes to, I see failure as a learning curve.
Yes.
And the one thing I really hate is how entrepreneurs have to go through stuff to get to where they are. But at the same time, it makes us more empathetic to our target market. And most of the time, our target market is our old self. And so it's because of the things that we went through that we've decided to do the business that we do, so we can better help other people not go through what we went through the way we went through it. So yeah, so failure, it's just a learning curve. And someone, I don't know, at some stage went through failure and said how it's bad and this and that. Whereas, you know, if none of us failed at all, we'd learn nothing, and we would really get nowhere and be helping no one. So it's just, I think it's a mindset of how we look at things in order to do things. And you also talked about how important community is as well. In the last 2 years, community for people is more important now than ever. And especially in our world, you know, people think that business goes like that. Business goes like this, you know.
Totally.
There are times that we're like this, and there are times that we don't want to get out of bed. But, you know, we're all like-minded people who get it, and that we're real to each other and we help each other through it. And, you know, that's one of the most beautiful things about these communities, is that, you know, we're real and we tell it how it is and we help each other through it. So yeah.
Very good. Fantastic. Anybody else want to just talk about what, Angela? Thank you. Whatever.
Yeah, I was just gonna just absolutely just resonated. There was a couple of things that really resonated with me. And I kind of have a saying, so I do a lot around messaging and how that, and you'd said about the emotional connection to people. Well, as a performer for sort of 30 years, I grew up watching great comedians and people on the stage, and they had about 7 seconds to get that audience on their side. And if they hadn't done that, it was curtains. So I kind of knew that ability to connect with an audience or to connect with people is paramount. It doesn't matter whether we're extrovert or introvert. We've got to be able to have that emotional connection. And I used to kind of say, I keep saying to people, just remember half of the word message is the word mess. And the other half is the word age, which means that a mess at any age is going to become your message at some point, really. The rest of it is being able to kind of put that and encapsulate that into something congruent that we can say to people.
Fantastic. Roger, I love your smile. My goodness, would you just light up the whole place? Is there anything you wanted to add to this?
Oh, thanks. Way to bait me with the compliment. It's like it for having a big mouth. No, I fully, you could see, I guess, a lot of the nodding, but yes, I fully agree. It drives me crazy how many people come to me with websites, but particularly websites that aren't finished or aren't effective. They don't sell or are useful. They don't even know how to use them. And it's after months of throwing money at some software or some person, and you're just like, why? It's such a waste of time. And you could see all they need is just one little quick fix, and life would have been immensely better for the last few months. And I think that was one of the things that made me pivot. I started off as the stereotypical marketer. We're going to do some digital marketing. I'll do your social media. And a few, maybe 2 years of that, and I could see this isn't what people need. The value I need to add is actually walking you through, coaching you on those tools, helping you figure out which tools you need, because a lot of people waste time testing this one and that one, and it's not the right one, and it's different for everyone. So I wholeheartedly agree with that part, but also the fact that groups like this make the difference, because how else will you know, learn, meet people to know not to waste that time unless you're out there connecting with people.
Brilliant. The soundbite that ranks the value I need to add, and that would be the challenge. The value I need, the value I can bring. Avery, I just wonder if you take a second, and you've seen people respond well to trauma, to failure, and you've seen people, can you just speak to that, and then we'll shift to the next part of the meeting?
Absolutely. So I see it as depending on where they are at in their healing journey. If they are still very driven from the belief that their worth is tied to what they can accomplish, then failure hits so much harder. But if they're able to seek their identity elsewhere, besides what they can do, who they can help, and how much they can accomplish in a day, then it's a different experience. So I think really the key to the growth mindset is to remove your worth from what you can check off a list.
There you go. Well, boom, drop the mic. We're good. That's fantastic. Yeah, there you go. Thank you so much. And Debbie, yeah, go.
I just wanted to add in regards to that, that one of the greatest things that we have as entrepreneurs is the ability to create. And when things are tough or things aren't happening, we're able to think outside the square and create things in order to build assets within our business. And I've been saying since 2020 to people, and it's more prevalent than even then, is that the world is crazy and there is nothing. And I tell people to use their imagination and think outside the square or think outside the hexagon, because there is nothing that you can come up with that's crazier than what's happening in the world. So it's a really great time to think outside the square and think about what is it that our clients actually are needing at the moment, and what is their pain point now, where do they want to get to, and what are the different ways that we can help them to get from where they are now to where they want to be in the quickest, easiest way for their journey that's sustainable And at the same time, that's building assets for us and resources for us where we can also make money and do things differently as well. So the greatest gift of an entrepreneur is to be able to create. So we really need to utilize that now more than ever.